People, we are Tottenham TV back here with another update on match day. Let's get straight into it because we're going to start talking about James Maddison and his injury that he got yesterday. We obviously reported from SZY and I think there was another source as well saying, it's not looking good for James Maddison. However, Fabrizio Romano and Alistair Gold both reporting, well, Romano is saying that he's going to be sidelined for 10 days to 2 weeks with a shoulder injury. Alistair Gold saying that after some initial worries, James Maddison's shoulder injury, he should be back playing within a couple of weeks. So good news as Spurs need him. And Spurs Journal says that Maddison injury is expected to actually take slightly more time than the 10 to 14 days that's being thrown about right now. It's being warped to be a little less bad in the media. Could be because we're internally discussing another 10 to come in potentially. But he did say that the reports that's going around social media saying it's an awful injury are wide off the mark.
Yeah, it doesn't sound great though. If apparently it's some reporting a small fracture or anyway, some sort of shoulder injury. The fact that he's got injured in his first 20-minute cameo of the season, having missed preseason, having last season come back from an ACL, it just paints a picture, doesn't it? And the picture isn't a pretty one. Yeah. No, it's not great. And I think we all want Maddison to be fit and firing this season. We know how important he can be for the team. And considering our options at the moment in attacking midfield, I think we're all desperate for him to get back in the team. But we've said it all season, all summer. Can we really rely on Maddison, Kulusevski and Xavi to be our number 10s this season, considering all the injury problems they have? And I think Maddison was the one we were kind of banking on to be fit and available, and he got injured in his first game. So, look, thankfully, it doesn't sound like a really serious one where it's going to be months. But it's another injury he's going to have to get over. He's going to have to get back fit again. He's still recovering from the ACL that he was out for last season as well. So it's just going to delay him getting back to peak sharpness. And that's just not what Spurs fans want to hear.
Yeah, exactly. Because we know, once he gets back on the pitch in 2 weeks, we just saw him take a step upwards or a step in the right direction in terms of match sharpness. Obviously, nowhere near there yet. But it just delays the whole process. So it's just very frustrating, especially with the lack of creativity we have in our team. But on to some better news and more positive news. Let's talk about Omar Marmoush, as there's been a lot said about him today. And basically, things are moving in the right direction. David Ornstein this morning tweeted, Marmoush granted permission to take Tottenham Hotspur medical after saying his goodbyes at Manchester City today. 27-year-old joins on loan with a buy obligation for 50 million plus 10 million in add-ons. 5 million of those add-ons are guaranteed. 4-year plus 1-year contract. And Frankfurt have no sell-on. So this is actually a really interesting development about the Frankfurt sell-on, because Florian Plettenberg says, as revealed and now confirmed, Eintracht Frankfurt have no sell-on clause for Omar Marmoush, despite reports. The reason being, Frankfurt received the desired 75 million euro guaranteed fee at the time, plus an additional 5 million euros in bonuses. There were very few installments, meaning that all the payment obligations to Frankfurt have been fulfilled. Reports claiming that Man City are setting Marmoush's price in a certain way to avoid sell-on payments to Frankfurt are complete nonsense. He went on to say that Omar Marmoush at Tottenham is now a done deal. Full agreement reached with Man City over a loan with an obligation by 58 million euros, up to 12 million euros in achievable add-ons, of which 6 million euros are guaranteed. Medical to take place soon. Then signing of the contract until 2030 with a 1-year extension on top of that. No sell-on clause for Eintracht, as previously reported. Romano says that documents signed by both clubs and exchanged as expected. Omar Marmoush is now set to sign as a new Tottenham player. Marmoush will officially sign the contract tomorrow morning to be valid until June 2031, when obligations is going to be met. And then, basically the price is all saying exactly the same. So this deal was agreed on Sunday and the contracts are due to be signed tomorrow. But very interesting, isn't it, about the sell-ons for Eintracht Frankfurt, which obviously brings us back to the Savio conversation. So we basically just paid 85 million for Savio.
Yeah, I told you, I saw that journalist from Footy Insider said he doesn't think there's any link, but I don't know. I still think there's still something going on. I don't believe for a fact that there's no, even if it's not about a sell-on clause, it could be a PSR thing. You know, they bought Savio for 30 million from Troyes. And so if we pay 85 million for him on PSR, it looks like massive 50 million pound profit. And obviously with Marmoush, if they can balance out with that one, it makes their PSR a lot better, you would say, than maybe paying smaller for
I thought PSR is not a thing anymore, isn't it? SCR, isn't it completely different?
Yeah, but it's still. I think pure. I don't know. There's still pure profit and all that kind of stuff, isn't it? I think that's still a thing. Obviously, you can only spend 80. I think it's now 80% of your revenue. Is it 85% of your revenue? I don't know. I still think there's something going on. I don't believe.
Even if it is that, like they're making a loss on Omar Marmoush now.
Yeah, but they're making a massive profit on Savio.
Yeah. So I mean,
it still
doesn't it balance out? Even if we were to pay, like, for them not to make a loss on Omar Marmoush, and then for them to still make a profit, and still it will still be a significant profit on Savio. So I mean, that doesn't really make sense to me.
Well, if you're making a 50 million pound profit on Savio, and then maybe only a small loss on Marmoush, that probably looks better for the books, I would say. But anyway, look, maybe we have just paid 85 million for Savio, and in that case, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him, and there already is a lot of pressure on him. I mean, De Zerbi was asked in his press conference, do you think he's going to be one of your main men? And his answer was, he needs to be. He needs to be one of our main men. So I think there's already the pressure's piling on. But look, let's talk about Marmoush. This one, obviously, we got the Here We Go a few days ago on Sunday. So this one's obviously been in the works. When we saw him in training a couple of days ago, we're like, oh no, what's going on here? Is it falling through? Are we waiting for Gakpo? But it seems as though this one will get over the line. Obviously, there was, when Romano said, here we go, he said loan with an obligation. Did these reports say loan?
Yeah, loan with an obligation, yeah.
Okay, so they're confirming that as well. So hopefully he'll be there in time for Newcastle, which would be brilliant. And I'm super excited with Marmoush. I wonder as well, while Maddison's having his fitness issues, I do wonder whether Marmoush will play with Solanke for the first few weeks. And I think that could be a partnership that could actually be really good, because you've got Solanke holding the ball up with his back to goal, laying it off to Marmoush, who's, you know, if you get him close to goal, I think that could be a really fruitful partnership.
Marmoush in the 10, or like a second striker kind of role.
That's what I think. I think that potentially is the plan early on. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see. But I think that makes the most sense to me. Obviously, it gets Gallagher out of the team, which I'm very much in favour of. And I think as well, you got another goal for Solanke. You've got as well his physicality. You have his hold-up play against like low blocks. You got his aerial ability. And you get Marmoush, you know, not having to play back to goal and all that kind of stuff. You get him facing goal, get the ball quickly into Solanke, getting him laying it off to Marmoush, and getting him finishing it. I think that works the most for me. But the question is, he's not a midfielder. So if you're like, a lot of teams play with like 4-3-3 with three midfielders, so are you risking kind of getting outnumbered in the middle if Marmoush isn't going to dig in and do the defensive work? So he's going to have to basically dig in. De Zerbi's going to have to drill that into him. But anyway, I wonder if that's what we're going to do. I think that makes the most sense to me in the short term. But we're all super excited about getting Marmoush. If the deals are separate, then I think we've got a good deal here anyway with 50 million. And I think obviously we've spoken about the overall package, but I can't wait to see him. Apparently I read something crazy, like he scored 14 goals for City,
seven of them against Newcastle.
Yeah. So let's hope
he loves scanning those barcodes, doesn't he? He just loves scanning those barcodes. So
let's hope he's available.
Couldn't have hoped for a better debut, could we? At home to Newcastle. Judging by that record. So yeah, very much looking forward to it. Obviously, we're both going to be there, and it's probably most likely going to be Savio and Marmoush's debut for Tottenham Hotspur on that day. And
well, let's see if Savio could play tonight.
Yeah, but even if I don't think he starts tonight, but you know, when I call it a debut, I mean a start. I think maybe Savio start. Yeah, so fantastic. Marmoush over the line will be confirmed tomorrow. I think we'll get a club announcement tomorrow about this. And then who knows? Maybe one more in, maybe two more in before the end of the window. Do you think we'll get any more in? Because I'm looking at it, I just don't think we're going to get any more in after this.
I think there's going to be a lot of rumours and talk, and we're going to try, but I think we're going to have to sell some players first.
Yeah. And talking about selling players first, let's get into that, because we do have some to talk about. And starting off with Pape Matar Sarr. So Sarr, Mike McGrath says that Monaco have made an inquiry over the availability of Pape Matar Sarr. Romano says that Monaco have now made an approach with Pape Matar Sarr over a possible loan move. Discussions took place about the project and salary. I think that'd be a good move for him, to be honest, Pape.
Yeah, I think Monaco have been known for developing, especially midfielders. So I think you've seen a lot of talent come out of Monaco. They are quite good at developing young players. So he'll probably get a lot of game time there. Go to a good physical league like Ligue 1, a good team who I don't know if they're in the Champions League next season, but they regularly are. I assume they are. I don't know, but they regularly are. Competing for Champions League spots. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, maybe his good mate or old mate Eric Dyer put in a good word for him. What do you reckon?
Yeah, Eric Dyer as well. Played with him for how much did he actually play with Dyer? Probably not even that much.
They were definitely there together.
Yeah, but Pape's first season when he was a proper starter, where he was under Ange, like Dyer
he was still in the squad though.
Yeah, but my point being, like, they weren't. It wasn't like they were there. Yeah, they know each other, but I don't know how good mates are. Is my point. But yeah,
everyone loves Pape. I'm sure. I'm sure he does too. So yeah, look, I think this deal has a high possibility of getting done. If it's not a straight sale and just a loan, what do you reckon about that?
I actually think that works better for us, because I think he has a good loan spell. Well, it depends if there's an option to buy or not. But I think his value could well rise, because his stock is quite low at the moment because of his lack of game time and inconsistent form. But he has a really good season out of Monaco. I think his value could be nearer to 40 million in a year's time.
Depends how he smashes it. But yeah, look, I mean, if he smashes it on loan, could he force his way back into the Spurs squad?
You never know. I mean, Bentancur could be on his way out in a year. Who knows what's going to happen with Bergvall? So wouldn't rule it out. But obviously, I'm assuming there's likely to be an option to buy in this deal. So
probably, and it will probably be quite low as well, I would say.
Yeah.
There's been some reports on Wilson Odobert, which was quite interesting. I searched up the source. They did tell me it's a tier 3 source, so maybe take it with a pinch of salt. But it's a journalist called Darren Whitcoop says Ipswich exploring a potential double deal with Spurs for Wilson Odobert and Tyrese Hall. Odobert is closing in on return from an ACL injury, and Hall is of long-standing interest of Ipswich. Hall also has other interest from the Championship and League One. Do you see there being any truth into this? Like, do you really think people are going to be taking Wilson Odobert without seeing him on the pitch post ACL?
Especially a team who's fighting relegation, they can't afford to be buying a player for, I don't know how much we would command for him, but they're going to be committing funds to a player who's basically not going to be playing for the first at least 3 months at the very least of the season. So I don't see that being a possibility. I think maybe in January, I wouldn't rule that out. I think that is quite possible, but definitely not now. I wouldn't say they're going to buy him now. That doesn't make any sense. Why would they buy him now? You've got to wait and see how he recovers from the ACL, how he's looking. Also, when he's in his kind of recovery phase now, and he's obviously being well managed, well looked after by Tottenham. I think disrupting that mid-recovery for a transfer doesn't make a lot of sense to me either. So I think for him, doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't see that being true. Tyrese Hall, you never know. We've obviously been very open to selling a lot of younger players this summer. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a good offer on the table that maybe we let him go. Obviously, again, I'd rather a loan. If it's to a Premier League side looking at Tyrese Hall, goes to show how highly he's maybe thought of.
Yeah, but we'll see. He's massively rated with inside Spurs. I wouldn't want to see him leave the club, to be honest. I really wouldn't. I think he's got such high potential, can play in multiple different positions. You saw what he did out on loan last year at Notts County, scoring like 8 goals or something crazy for them. So I would like to keep him around at the club. If it's a loan move to Ipswich, and if he can get Premier League minutes, then I'm all for that.
Is he ready for Premier League right now? I don't know.
Probably not. But like you said, Championship and League One also interested. But no, he's definitely not ready for the Premier League, 100%. You saw like even he had a great loan spell at Notts County, but he fell out of favour there as well. So he needs to go to the Championship or League One and get some regular minutes behind him, and then see what happens in the future. But I massively rate Tyrese Hall. I think he's got a lot of potential. But yeah, on Wilson Odobert, I don't even know where this has come from. Like why? I wouldn't doubt that Ipswich have got interested in him because he's a very good player, Wilson Odobert. And I think if Ipswich were to get him, I think, he's a definite starter for them, in my opinion. So could there be a case of them just trying to get in early before more interest comes in next January because they know when he recovers, maybe he is surplus to requirements at Spurs, they're trying to steal a march on other competition potentially?
Look, I would be shocked because they're looking to stay up unless they've got other players coming in, or maybe they're happy with the 4 players they are, and Odobert will just supplement that when he's fit. I don't see how I don't see how a relegation-threatened club like Coventry, Ipswich, who need every point they can get, can commit big funds to a player when the likelihood is, the chance is, by the time he's fit, they could be looking at the Championship already. They need points. They can't just commit funds to players who aren't going to play right now. I would be shocked if they go to spend money on him now.
I mean, it's hard to know because I don't really know the inside outs of Ipswich's squad and where they're stocked, where they're not stocked.
I mean, they've spent a record fee on Emerson, the striker.
They've spent a lot of money. They've brought in like 9 or 10 players already.
By the way, they just agreed a deal for Palacios from Leverkusen. What a signing that is! I mean, they have made some good signings. I like the Florentino Luis from Burnley as well. They've got. He's not bad. I liked him when he was at Benfica. He didn't have the best time at Burnley, but I think he's decent. Obviously, Enciso is great. So look, they are giving themselves a fighting chance. But I don't see it making sense going for Odobert. That doesn't make any sense to me right now. Maybe in January, but I don't see right now.
And last but not least, on Jamie Donley, Lily White Rose says that Donley is now in advanced talks with a number of Championship and League One sides over a season-long loan deal. So it looks like he's going to be departing after all the talks, saying De Zerbi rates him, De Zerbi this, De Zerbi that. He played in pre-season, and obviously De Zerbi wasn't too impressed, so he's going to go out on loan.
Yeah, makes probably a lot of sense. I never really saw him being an option this season, although it was nice to think about. Maybe he could spring a surprise, but clearly on the tour and whatever, he just didn't do enough to prove to De Zerbi he's actually good enough to be part of the squad. So hopefully it's a Championship loan, because obviously he's been to League One, done very well, went to the Championship and struggled. So I think, but I also think going back down to League One is obviously a step backwards. And at 20, he's 21 now, but he does want to be making that. He needs to be testing himself in the Championship. I think he should maybe take inspiration from Lancashire, where Lancashire got that Championship loan. It didn't work out with West Brom, and he didn't take a step backwards. He kept going, and then did brilliant at Oxford. And now look at him; he's got his 4th goal of the season already in August for Middlesbrough yesterday. So hopefully he gets another Championship loan.
There's just been one that's just been dropped just now from Gaston Edul saying Tottenham are one of the 2 clubs interested in Emi Martinez. We heard those Emi Martinez links.
We have heard from Paul O'Keefe
a few weeks ago.
We have heard from Paul O'Keefe that that Tottenham might look at a goalkeeper if an opportunity comes up. That I find. I mean, Gaston Edul is extremely reliable, Tier 1 journalist in Argentina. So if he says something, you're inclined to believe it. I mean, obviously, going into the season, everyone expected it's going to be Kinski. Were they spooked by that first game, do we think, against Brentford with that mistake, maybe? I mean, it's harsh for one game.
I don't think so. I think SZY did say weeks and weeks and weeks ago that later in the late stages of the window, Spurs might be looking to bring in another keeper. So I think this has always been in their mind. I don't know. But I think he's going to end up at Chelsea anyway. Keeper? Not entirely, but maybe he's just like a placeholder for a year, for Kinski. I don't know. He's old as well, 33 years of age. I think it just makes more sense for him to go to Chelsea, though.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I mean, I'd be shocked if we're going for him, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I've always felt like he's overrated. Obviously, I do think he's better than Kinski, like as a goalkeeper right now.
You say he's overrated, but he's still like top 5, top 6 goalkeepers in the Premier League.
Hey, I don't know. Maybe. I think he is a good keeper. I'm not going to say he's not. I don't think he's world class, but I do think he's a good keeper. I don't think
he's just in that one level below world class for me.
I don't think he's obviously phenomenal with his feet. Although I said it, and then I had Villa fans in the comments saying you don't watch him, he is good. But whenever I've seen him, he hasn't seemed that comfortable with his feet. I think he's got like a good kick, but like him playing it around the back, I've always found it he's not that great. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to watch him more. Mm-hmm. I've never felt like he's that comfortable with the ball at his feet and being like an extra player and build up kind of thing. Like I've never seen that. It'll be interesting if we go for him. Obviously, he's more experience in the back line. Maybe that first game has convinced us we do need to move for someone. But I mean, if that's Kinski, if you're Kinski, that's got to be a punch in the face if we do move for him after all the trust and the new contract. You're like, okay, I'm number one, and then one game in a cave again, new keeper. It's like surely not. But I'll be very interesting to see if this actually progresses, if it's truth. It could be just putting our name out there, like to force Chelsea's hand, or are we genuine? Let's see.
I think it's more what you're saying about forcing Chelsea's hand. That does make a lot of sense. But look, that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all the news stories that we have spoken about today. Next up, the watch long. Come on, you Spurs. We'll see you there. Spurs against Charlton. But thank you everyone for joining us today. Come on, you Spurs.